Last week, we covered what happens in a trial. However, after somebody wins or loses in a trial, the legal case is not necessarily over. The vocabulary terms this week have to deal with the appeals, another chance to win the case. It's kind of like asking your dad for a cookie after your mom says no. There is a special set of judges who hear these appeals, and this whole thing is called the appellate process. So the first term, appellate process, means what happens after the end of a trial. Each person has the right to appeal once. After the parties win or lose the first appeal, the case is, once again, not necessarily over. Somebody who loses the first appeal can ask the highest court to hear their case one more time. However, because the parties have already had one appeal, they have to ask this highest court to get permission to have their second appeal. And this highest court can say no.
No! Oh, Dr. Cox?
Parties who want to try to get the second appeal need a special document for this, called a writ of certiorari, also abbreviated as writ of cert. The highest court will look at the writ of cert and decide whether the parties get the second appeal or not. If it's not granted, the case is over. If it is granted, the parties get to do the second appeal. The last vocabulary terms are reporter and reported cases. Remember our vocabulary terms jurisdiction and precedents from the beginning of the course? Precedents are the appellate court decisions that later courts in the same jurisdiction have to follow. Well, how would these later courts know what the decisions were 1, 2, or 10 years later? They're not mind readers and they don't have incredible memories. The decision of the appellate courts are written down and called reported cases. All of these reported cases are collected in books called reporters. You can see a picture of some reporters behind me. We're going to look at sample reported cases in this week's lesson. You'll get an idea of what reported cases look like and what kind of information go into them. And that's it for this week. With these vocabulary terms, you'll have a much easier time following this week's lesson. See you next week.